to the Kemetic How-To Guide for Egyptian Pagan and Kemetic practitioners. I'm your host, Sharon. If you read about Egyptian religious festivals, you'll notice that a big part of the festivities is a procession, or in other words, a parade. Now, trying to imagine the pageantry and the spectacle of, say, Amun's bark procession during the Opet festival has captivated the imaginations of pagans and non-pagans alike. So much so that we recently were treated to the world's biggest tourism commercial. Amazing as it was, though, the Luxor parade that they put on in November of 2021 was still a bit stage managed for practical reasons. But to understand the ancient festivals a little bit better, I think it would help to look at other modern festivals that involve processions, or parades, and explore how ordinary people participated in them. We'll start with a few examples in photos and in videos, and then we're going to explore one example more in depth. Now, the most logical starting point is in Egypt itself, where the modern Muslim festival of Saint Abu al-Haggag directly echoes Amun's Valley Festival, and the examples that I'm going to show you come from YouTube videos, and I'm putting the links in the description. I want you to notice the spectators lined up and cheering as the floats go by, and the temporary vendor stalls that are near the parade route, and the videos of folk dances and chants that aren't part of the parade itself, but are still celebrating the holiday and might be taking place nearby. And now, with that in mind, I want you to imagine similar street parties in ancient Thebes during the Valley Festival, as they might have been portrayed in Tumart. The parallels are intriguing, aren't they? Next is the Oeshiki festival in Japan, which honors the passing of Nichiren, the Buddhist monk who founded the Japanese sect of Buddhism that bears his name. The highlight of this October festival is a parade that goes over a mile up to the Ikegami Honmonji Temple in Tokyo, where as many as 3,000 people carry elaborate lanterns that are decorated with faux cherry blossom decorations. And just in case you need a more homegrown parallel, check out these pictures from a local Dia de Muertos festival that had musicians and kids carrying decorations on poles around a local park. Now, imagine something like the Osiris Mysteries in Abydos, where people were carrying standards of Wepawet ahead of the Neshmet bark, the boat carrying the cult image of Osiris, going down through a path into the desert cemetery. And it kind of gets you thinking, doesn't it? And imagining, what the standards in the procession might have looked like. And now for another tradition from my home, being Mardi Gras. It's not just for drunk sorority girls in New Orleans. Mardi Gras is French for Fat Tuesday, and it is the last day of indulgences of the flesh before Ash Wednesday, and this is a Roman Catholic tradition. And Ash Wednesday marks the start of Lent, and Lent was a 40-day period leading up to Holy Week and Easter, and it commemorated Jesus fasting in the desert, and so you're supposed to give something up, and, say the rosary and things like that. And the last hurrah before then is Fat Tuesday, Mardi Gras. And you will find Mardi Gras, or its Spanish-speaking equivalent, Carnival, celebrated throughout the New World in places that were settled by the French, the Spanish, and the Portuguese. Now, here in Louisiana, in the United States, the highlight of Mardi Gras is parades that are put on by private clubs called crews, with a K. And there are actually several crews here in my home area. One of them happens to be the crew of Sobek, and I got these beads here that came from the crew of Sobek. Crews typically are named for deities from originally from Greek and Roman mythology, but this one happened to use an Egyptian deity. You can go and look up Crew of Sobek. The things that they do really don't have very much to do with Egypt other than their mascot and the themes of some of their floats, but it is still interesting, and, you know, I keep these because I think, oh hey, you know, Sobek's name is on it, so cool. But to understand a little bit more about what it's like to actually be in a parade for a festival and what kinds of things might be going on, I'm going to take my intrepid crew with me, and we're going to experience a Mardi Gras parade. Okay, I really have no idea what the theme of that float was supposed to be. Okay, I'm hearing strains of Motley Crue and the high school marching band. This is actually a major thoroughfare that's been blocked off for most of the day, and it's, even after the parade is gone, it's going to be several hours before you're going to be able to get through here again. And that kind of explains a little bit about why you would have had these processional ways marked with the sphinxes, and these are areas that, you know, when it wasn't festival time, you might be able to walk up and down them, but they would have cordoned everything off when there was going to be a big festival parade. And because this is the South, you have to have a jacked up truck. G.I. Joe. Throw it something! What's fascinating is that we have a written description of a festival from Edfu in ancient Egypt that says its streets glitter with faience and natron, and its citizens are glad, and its maidens are beautiful, and even, you know, its citizens are drunk, which was, for the ancient Egyptians, that was a positive thing. I think those words evoke natron being scattered on the ground to purify the parade, the procession route, and faience, you know, was a cheap material for beads, and you might have had beads that either had been worn and, you know, were dropped, or maybe even that had been thrown to the crowd, and after the parade they just littered the ground like confetti, and you would have had people feasting and drinking near the route, and maybe even dancing girls as part of the procession. So in a lot of ways it kind of sounds like a Mardi Gras parade, doesn't it? Of course, the COVID pandemic means that we won't be getting in any kind of large groups close together like ancient parade goers did anytime soon. But we will get there eventually. And if we use our imaginations, take some inspiration from what's around us, one day we will have a chance to get together as Kemetics and have our own Kemetic festival procession. And when we do, I think it's going to be great, especially if we can borrow some elements and see what kinds of things are common to all of them that can give us some cues. So, one day we're going to have us a blast. Just stay positive and keep the faith. And remember, you can support this channel by subscribing and joining us on Patreon and looking for my books on Lulu.com. And stay tuned because we have more great things planned in the months ahead. So, we'll see you soon. And in the meantime, this is Sharon wishing you Sanepti. Enjoyed this video? Then be sure to hit like and subscribe to the Kemetic Independent channel. You can also buy my books on Lulu.com, and special thanks to all my Patreon supporters. Join us for updates, outtakes, and exclusive videos only on Patreon. Check the description for links.